This your first time on Zoom, Jake? Can you hear me? Let's see, Jacob. This is where I get to type. Now,
I think it is in this format. Can you hear me over there?
I can hear you. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I think that I have a little bit of lag, so let me go ahead and close this this YouTube stream here and see if that kind of helps out. Is that better? Am I echoing?
No, you're not echoing at all, and you don't really have to close it out. Most of the time, just muting it works just fine. Yeah. Now you don't want to watch at the same time because I'm actually sending you the program out. So what you see in Zoom is what everybody else is seeing.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, dude, welcome to the show.
Hi. How's everybody going? Yeah, this has been a really cool segment. I've been seeing some familiar faces in here on some of these different streams that I've been joining. Sorry that you're kind of feeling a little under the weather, man. As a former Army grunt myself, my condolences out to you, man. I hope everything works out for you, especially like with the CBD and stuff like that as well. I mean, if you have any questions on that, that's something that my wife, who's also a veteran, she's pretty experienced in that. So maybe that can be kind of an alternative for you if that's something that you've been looking into.
I have been looking into it, but like I said, that, and you may not have been in the head of the show, but it's like, somebody tell me what's wrong. Right? Yeah. Is it a pinched nerve? Is it a collapsed disc? Is it a fracture? Is it what was the other one? Shit, I can't even remember. But
bulging
herniated disc. Yeah. Is it arthritis? That was the other one. Just tell me what it is. So, if you can't take care of it, I'll work on some things like CBD oil, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I played arena football for a few years, and damage to the sciatica and stuff like that, which is the nerve that's running down from the pelvis down to the heel of the foot. That might be kind of what you're dealing with, and that could be due to bulging or due to arthritis as well. That's inflaming that. So, hopefully, you get diagnosed and you get that figured out, man. Because being in constant pain, it's torture, man. It really is. And I'm feeling for you out there. I can see it.
Thanks.
I can see it. So I appreciate what you're doing here, and still continuing on your program. It really does show your determination and your commitment to your subscribers. So that's definitely cool.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, brother, I should say. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's and if it wasn't for the meds, I probably wouldn't, because even having dealt with this for 25 years, it came to a head this weekend, and it laid me up for a good day. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's the point that you can't, no matter your training, no matter your experience, pride, ego, whichever. I mean, we're all human. Everybody has a breaking point, and you probably push yourself harder than most people would in that situation. So, just sometimes it gets you. And another thing before I hit the topic of discussion here, is that my background is in business finance and human resource. I actually have a master's in human resource. I manage several companies. So I believe you said it was your wife that may be dealing with some HR related issues, definitely get a hold of me off camera, kind of behind the scenes, if you want to bounce any ideas off, because there's a lot of HR. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why it's one of the most in-demand career fields right now, is because there's so much incompetence in the human resource department in companies that they have a lot more power, and they're able to do a lot more because their job is to put their employees first, to keep employee retention, to keep training high, to keep safety high, to make sure there's competent managers, make sure there's competent leadership and training. So that's their job. So if they're not doing that, they're giving your wife, I believe, a disservice. And so again, if you want kind of from the outside looking in, if you would care to share that offline, I'll kind of bounce some ideas off you that might be able to help. And if I have to go maybe a legal route or whichever, we can help you with that too. So
very cool.
I just want to offer that out to you. So that. Pet peeve wise, I would say mine's kind of an overreaching pet peeve. It's kind of a broad pet peeve, but that really is negativity and incompetence is really what kind of kills me. I know a lot of people that will project their own insecurities or project their own, lack of ambition onto other people that are trying to break the mold and do something better for themselves. I see a lot of that on the YouTube platform, for example. A lot of people, they're, trying to start a channel out, and they're putting together content, and they're putting their heart and soul into things. And when they talk to people about it, and when they try to get people excited to support them and follow their dreams, especially in their warm market, when it comes to family, friends, people that should or normally always support you in what you do, as long as you're adding value and it's positive. And then being shot down and really stifling and killing things that could be revolutionary before they even break out of the infancy stage. And a lot of people are so resistant and afraid of change that they'll never break the mold. They'll always stay miserable. They'll always keep banging their heads against a rock. But when somebody goes, hey, well, instead of keeping hitting the rock, why don't we kind of go to the side a little bit? Maybe there's a different way to do this. But they won't do it because they're too afraid. And so they're going to bring everybody else down because misery loves company.
That's where the negativity comes in.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's a cancer, and it's something that I see so much in society now, because, in matter of fact, kind of referring to one of the first guests that we had, I believe her name was Raven, to where this younger generation that is coming into power and is going to be, directing our country here the next 10, 15 years, especially in industry and the political field. So many people are living vicariously through other people that alternate realities nowadays, it attracts people more than their own reality.
Yes.
Like with the reality TV and the video games. And again, I mean, gamers and stuff like that, that's great. I've got nothing against that. I totally support people that do that. It's a great release. It's a great whatever. But when people are more worried about their video game score than, say, their credit score, or pursuing a better job, or pursuing something else to better their position in life, what that does is that creates kind of a disconnect to where they don't really, get out of that 9 to 5. They don't really get out of that mold. And so they just become miserable in their lives, and they just do the minimal amount of work, and they focus everything else on something that really doesn't matter in the real world. And that's a huge problem, because that expands on a whole nother level. I mean, that expands worldwide. That's going to decrease industry. That's going to decrease business. Oh, yeah. That's going to decrease the machine, the worldwide machine, because people would rather focus on things other than real life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's today's alcoholism, is the way I see it. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, it's a way to escape and escape from the position of your own making. Honestly, in many cases, if you're too afraid to take chances, one that could have just been the way you've been brought up. But if you don't take those chances, then you settle into one of those jobs you were talking about, and you're totally miserable for the rest of your life. Man, those escapes like gaming are the new alcoholism. That's why I think, and this is my own theory, that's why we see so many people addicted to them.
Absolutely. Everybody's addicted to something that takes the pain away. Yep. I'm a former drug addict. I was a big meth user for many, many, many years. I actually started using meth at 14. Wow. When I went into the military, it was actually right after an OD, and I got into a little bit of trouble, and it was either you go to jail or you go to military. Sure. And so I just stayed sober long enough at 18 years old. I joined the military. I was 137 pounds at 18 years old. I was just a skeleton. Yeah. And when I went into the military saved my life. I owe the military everything that I am today. I owe to the military. And I found something I was good at. I found structure. I found a sense of belonging and a sense of camaraderie. And that really excelled me. And I still use what I learned in the military to my operations today, and focusing on what can I do to be a leader? What can I do to help you and to grow you? Because my job, especially as a business consultant and business manager, is I want every one of my clients to be more successful than I am. Sure. I mean, that's my goal, because that speaks on my ability.
Oh, yeah.
And so, kind of getting into that and bodybuilding, et cetera, is kind of, what I do to blow off steam. But, with social media and with games and stuff like that, I mean, it's fine to have that passion and be able to blow off that steam. But the problem is when it becomes your life, and when you're miserable in life, you're going to infiltrate and you're going to sicken, for lack of better words, your social circle. And then that's contagious. Yeah. So I just see people go to really any job or any workplace. I mean, how many people in a traditional workplace is excited to do what they do?
Yeah.
There's not very many that are excited to be there, and that reflects on their quality of work as well.
Oh, for sure. Sure. And that's a direct loss in productivity and, of course, bottom line revenue because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why some of these people that are trying to break the mold or do something different for themselves, they turn into excellent leaders and excellent inspirations to bring people out of that fold and start doing something different. And that's creating a positive environment that people can grow and people can continue in. So
yeah.
I think that's kind of in a nutshell, for lack of better words, that's kind of my pet peeve, because I see it everywhere. I just hate people seeing. I just hate seeing people that are miserable all the time.
Yeah.
You know, really.
I would add to that some of those people who come out from that position and decide to make a change for themselves often become some of the best managers, owners on the planet, right? Because you never, if they can always remember where they came from and make adjustments so that they don't you know, what's the term I'm looking for? So they don't infect other people with what they had to endure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, infecting them with that mentality. And here's the thing. And in the case if I have younger subscribers or whichever that are here, which typically on YouTube, it is a younger person platform. And we're kind of the older people on this platform. You know, these kids grew up on YouTube. I mean, that's how they got their information. We went to libraries. You know, that's how we learn stuff, you know, or calling in radio shows. I remember calling into mechanic radio shows working on my truck.
Oh, yeah.
You know, trying to figure something out because there was no YouTube. You know, the world needs leaders.
Yes.
The world needs visionaries. The world needs people that are going to come out and are going to change some of the negative direction this world's going in. And that really falls on the generation under me.
Yes.
You know, and then when they're trying to break out and they're trying to do their thing, everybody around them is shooting them down. And my generation is guilty of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, because I grew up to where we started transitioning from putting ads in the classified magazines to putting ads on Facebook. You know, I transitioned from magazines to online websites, you know, so I kind of got, you know, a firm grasp on both demographics. But, you know, the problem is that if you don't adapt, you know, you just become old fashioned and you die, just like with business, you know, and we need new ideas. We need visionaries. We need people that are going to come out and really get this going. And if people are so miserable in life that they're not inspired to do anything to change it, like they have to be the change. You have to be the change,
That's right.
You know, or it's just gonna repeat himself. You know, it's just like people that never have a good relationship and they go through relationship, and finally like, well, I'm just gonna treat everybody that I'm with like crap because I'm just used to it. But like, what kind of life do you live like that? You know?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately for them, most people don't even realize that they're in that position. That's the sad part. And it they're just waiting for the wake up call. And I think it's people like you that give them that wake up call. I know I've talked to a lot of people that have that are completely not aware of their current situation. They're not aware of their attitude because of that situation. And all it takes is many times is the information being power. Once they have the information, they know suddenly how they're being perceived or how they're coming off. Then you see a change in many people. I've seen a market change. But you
nailed it. I mean, I'm sorry. Where you going? I think there's a bit of a lag. So I feel like I keep stepping on you.
Oh no, I was done.
Okay, but you're absolutely right. You nailed it on the head, and that's one of the reasons, because I've operated under my company name for a long time. I mean, I incorporated a while ago. I mean, I was blessed enough to retire from the workforce in 2015 when I turned 31.
Nice.
I was done working. I didn't have to work anymore. And so I founded my own company and started bringing people in, and I travel the United States. I do real estate investments, real estate flips. I invest in local business. I, make a little bit of money and make a little bit of impact, and I move on. And I just came to Colorado from Nebraska. I was in Nebraska for about a year and a half. And so I'll be here for about a year. I'm helping a roofing company do some expansion out here. I've got 2 properties to rehab and put on the market. And then I'm going to Texas next. And just trying trying to wrap all this up together because I know that you're trying to end because this has been a late segment for you.
It has. I'm not going to rush you. I'm not going to rush you. I try not to do that to any of my guests. and I wouldn't even be in this situation. I'd probably let it go long because it's been such a popular subject, but I do have that doctor's appointment in the morning. But I'm not going to rush you, dude.
Absolutely. Well, I'll wrap it up here. I can't see the chat, so if people are chatting, I can't really address anything.
Well, when they have questions for you, I'll bring them up. And I haven't seen anyone tag me for a question, so
excellent.
We're good. And of course, this won't be the last time you're on, I hope.
No. It's actually one of the subjects I was going to bring up was that, you know, with the YouTube platform, I was able to kind of step out of my company shadow as Billett Enterprises because I didn't like to be in the limelight. I don't like being on camera. I don't like, you know, the video production, and I'm not an editor, and I don't have skills like that. I've always outsourced it. You know, I've always outsourced to sites like Fiverr or local businesses that specialize in that. You know, but so this is a big step for me too. But when I see, just as any entrepreneur would do, when you see a gap in a market, you're going to take advantage of that. And one of the biggest things is like, why isn't there more people on YouTube that are talking about these things, that are showing people? And again, I'm not like a massive guru, and I'm not a superstar, I'm not a multi-billionaire, and there are some channels that are like that. But I think that when people reach that level and they kind of brag about what they have all the time, I think that's kind of a big disconnect with people, because it's almost like, you know, what's the angle? Because everybody is suspicious. Everybody wants to know what the angle is.
Oh yeah.
You know, I got that in business all the time, is what's your angle? So being on YouTube, I can provide, you know, a free service. I can, you know, connect to more people, say, hey, this is who I am. This is my company. This is how I was able to do it. And I'd love to show you how you can do it as well. Mm-hmm. You know, and then there'll be monetary compensation in different ways.
Sure.
But the content is absolutely free on YouTube.
Yeah.
You're never going to charge somebody to sit there and go, hey, you know, during this, or if this happens, take a look at this, or what can I do to help you? Because again, I mean, there are probably people on this channel right now that have multi-million-dollar ideas. I'm sure of it. Everybody has kind of a pipe dream or kind of an idea. Mm-hmm. And what I feel that my calling is to talk to them. And if nobody supports them in their dream and their dream makes sense, well, let me support you. What can I do to help you out? You know, using my experience. And again, I don't have an unlimited amount of resources or anything. Like if it's a, you know, $250,000 startup, I couldn't do that right now, you know, but I can kind of help with some of the baselines, go, hey, this is what's worked for me, or this is how, you know, to kickstart or fundraise or get investors. Cause I'm a privately traded company. I'm a C corporation. So I have investors that buy stock in my company. Sure. So I can help them kind of set it up and go, hey, you know, there is a way. And if nobody supports you, well, then I'll support you and I'll connect you to supporters, and let's do this. Like live your dream, break the mold, have fun. We got one shot here, right? We got one shot on this planet.
That's right. You only get so many trips around the sun. And what's up with not thinking you're good on camera, dude? You're actually a natural, honestly. you put a $100 mic in front of you and you know, some props behind and talk about whatever you want to, because I've seen you twice now. Once on the Creator Spotlight show and once on this show. And dude, you kill it. I mean, I think you got a future if you continue to, you know, put things together for YouTube.
I really appreciate it, because this office just got set up last week, so we just moved down, or excuse me, I think like a week and a half ago. So I've still got, you know, stuff on the floor behind me that needs to get put up. But yeah, I'll be getting a microphone and kind of getting that going. I really wasn't sure how much money I wanted to put into this, because again, I want to test the market to see, you know, to make sure that I'm adding value. Because if I'm not adding value to something, I mean, I could feel like I'm the, you know, the biggest, brightest, know-it-all guru, everything. But if I'm truly not offering value to people, and if it's not reciprocated, then I need to move on to something else, because it's just not be my calling.
Sure.
You know, and I think that one of the biggest things was plugging in networks from Pusa, and then you, and then I think they're called the creator
Spotlight show.
Yes, great. Thank you. Sure. I just met him this morning.
Yeah, that's Mike Van Doozy. Mm-hmm.
And so plugging into networks like this, I mean, I really think that with all of us kind of leveraging each other's resources, bases, and platforms, I mean, I think we can do a lot of good in the world. And hopefully like even said, picking up trash, going outdoors. I'm an avid hunter and I'm an avid fisherman. And so that's something that my father taught me, was to always leave, your hunting area better than you found it, always. Right. We've got claims that we'd go out and clean up and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
I have the same philosophy in the world. Like, what's my legacy? Like, how am I going to leave this planet a little bit better than what I left it? Because there are millions, billions of people now that are going to leave it worse off than when they found it. And so again, you got to be the change, and that's why I'm here. Absolutely.
Well, Jacob, we've just met, and I know you haven't been able to go through my content, but I'll give you a quick synopsis of who I am. One, sure. My education is in electronics engineering, but I left that after going, 10, 15 years in broadcast television. I moved on to web development and digital marketing.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, do you still do that to this day? Do you still develop?
Yeah, and I also, yeah, absolutely. I also consult on the audio video setup.
Okay,
yeah,
good. This is good then.
Yeah. So my email address is actually right at the bottom of every one of my videos. Feel free to hit me up, man. We'll start a conversation and go a little further with this, because I think I can help you out on at least the backdrop, because you apparently have no problem talking on camera.
I think I talk too much.
Well, sometimes but that's okay, because you get to edit it out when you're doing it, as a informational video, right? If you've got a subject matter you want to cover, it's a perfect way to go, because you can just ramble on, and then you can edit out those things either that are of monetary value, and you want, save those because there's no substitute. I've been a consultant for years. There's no substitute for one-on-one interaction when you're trying to help somebody get through a problem, right? Solve their problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. YouTube can only go so far, because the questions can't be answered real time unless you're doing a live stream. You're not going to reach all the people you're going to want to on a live stream. It's going to be pre-recorded, so they're going to have questions. And to have that, you hold back those key points that are best expressed face to face, and it's gold. So do you know of Gary Vee?
Yeah, I know Gary
Vee. I can see, because he does what we were just talking about, but he hasn't gotten to that point where he just brags about what he's got. He still throws out good information for people who need that, looking for that type of information. But I know the other ones you're talking about too.
Yeah, well, it's a fine balance, and again, not to take too much more time, but I mean, you kind of brought up a really good point. So, and I would like to ask the audience as well, kind of what the thoughts are, because there are some younger audience here. But it's almost like, again, with the generation under me coming up and coming into power, and they're actually the second largest buying power right now. For their population size, is that's kind of what turns them on nowadays, is the flashy, and we all see the ads of the guy doing this on the screen and dropping, stabbing, looking like we are in Vegas, and that attracts that attracts that demographic. And like the Lamborghinis, right? Like, I legitimately looked at buying a Lamborghini like 2 months ago. I legitimately went in there, looked at, I'm sitting there going, like, man, that's like 3 flip properties that I can turn and I can flip for $60,000 a piece.
Yeah.
So I can double that in cash right now, and it cost me what? Investment properties for right now for the loans are what, 10%, 20% cash down at just under a 4% APR, I believe, is what the mortgage rates are. So again, but then you have to look at too. Okay, well, marketing wise, like, is it a smart marketing expense? Because in taxation, I think a luxury vehicle you can only write off either 40 or 60,000 that you can write off for depreciation. So taking that into account and say, okay, if I'm driving around in this, everybody's going to ask me what I do, but is that really worth it? It just, as a conservative investor, it's really, really hard for me to do that. I have such a hard time doing that. But again, it's what sells these guys.
Oh, sure.
It's what sells this younger generation. That's what it's all about.
I just don't understand.
Those people are broke.
Yeah, and I really don't understand that. It's the old adage, man. If your plumber shows up in a Mercedes, you're going to spend too much.
You know what? That's great that you brought that up, because I actually was talking to somebody who's a little bit older than me, and I asked him straight up, and we were talking business consulting. He actually turned into a really good friend of mine. But I said, hey, I just kind of got an oddball just completely off the beaten path question here. If I showed up in a Lamborghini and I was telling you how to run your business and how to make more money, what would you say? And he goes, I wouldn't even let you in the door. He literally told me that.
Yeah.
But then again, if you're driving down the road and there's 20, 22, 25-year-old kids, they're going to see that. They're going to be hooping and hollering, and they will buy any product that you sell them to get that. It's so crazy to me.
I just don't get that. I just don't get that. In our day, I'm a little bit older than you are. It was, you got to find that fine line, man. Don't show up in a 1978 Ford Courier. It's all rusted out. I'm going back to the plumber analogy. But then again, don't show up in a Mercedes, you know. But if you're in a I don't know, give me a good car, a mid-size SUV or something, or a nice truck, nice F-150, then you're going to hit that sweet spot where people are going to think, okay, he's not going to rip me off, but at the same time, he's not some dude, you know, starving to get by, and he's going to do a shoddy job. So
absolutely,
but it's amazing to hear what you're saying. Yeah,
I still drive a Super Duty. I drive an 04 Super Duty.
Yeah.
I've got my commuter vehicle, and then our luxury vehicle is we have a Q50 Infinity. Mm-hmm. That's all, you know, pretty much decked out, but it's like a 2016, so it's not brand new, and that's our nice car. Yeah. And it's all bought, it's all paid for, you know, because again, I would rather take that money and put it into properties and put it into rentals, especially in the California market. I've got a couple rentals out there right now that are performing really well. I would much rather put that money there because that money's now making me money. And again, with consulting and with financial consulting, I met a lot of people that had the Corvettes and had the Vipers back when they were hot, and these guys were flat broke. I mean, I'm saying if there was somebody who had zero debt, they would have more money than the guy that had all those toys. And a lot of people don't know that. I mean, a lot of these guys are flat broke. Absolutely.
Just trying to keep up appearances. I'm going to end on this, Jacob. Jacob, make sure that you don't take financial advice from someone whose portfolio is smaller than yours.
Well, it's just like when you,
that was kind of an end around.
Don't take advice from a personal trainer who's smaller than you, right? Is that kind of
that's kind of the same thing. Adage? Yeah. Well, Jacob, it's been a pleasure, man. I appreciate you being on, dude.
Thank you.
We'll have you back on, and thanks for all the salient points, and of course, telling us who or you know what your pet peeves are, dude.
Yeah, quit being negative. If you want it, get it, man. It's a land of opportunity. It's an age of technology. Anything you'd want to know, you can find with these fingers. You have access to everything. So there's no dream too big anymore. There isn't.
Well said, my brother. Well said. Listen, have a good evening, man. And we'll get you back on real soon.
All right, man. Thank you. Feel better, brother.
Oh, thanks.